our blood, is it clean? No. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. If it was, we wouldn't need kidneys or liver. All right? But even still, with the kidneys and the liver, is it clean? Absolutely not. Okay? So, let me think here for a second. All this stuff, these harmful agents, antibodies, what is that? Stuff your body creates against foreign agents. Okay? What is a macrophage? Macro means large. Phage, do you know what that means? Eating. Macrophages, white cells. Toxin. What? What kind of toxins? What kind of toxins am I walking around within my body?
Carbon dioxide.
Well, carbon dioxide is kind of a given because our cells are going to produce that. What else? What else do I get exposed to on a daily basis? Even though I didn't give permission for that to be done, but I am because I can't control it. What kind of stuff am I walking around with in my blood?
Pollution.
Pollution. I'm walking around with stuff I'm breathing from the air. How about stuff I might purposely do to my body, to my blood?
Like drinking alcohol.
Like drinking alcohol, smoking, anything. We're not going to put a limit on that, okay? I can't risk this tissue getting damaged. But yeah, it does. Some of the stuff I do on purpose, like if, say, for example, the alcohol. I mean, the alcohol gives you a buzz, okay? The reason why it can cross the blood-brain barrier. Even though the brain does everything possible to protect that tissue, some things get through. This barrier system, its goal is to regulate what makes it from the bloodstream to the tissue fluid, because one of the things about the structure of this system, do you guys remember from part 1, we had those things like oligodendrocytes and that sort of thing? As they're making their, like, you know, the cell would be right here, one arm would be connected to a blood vessel, one would be connected to a nerve cell, okay? So that as the blood came through, the goal would be for this glial cell, those oligodendrocytes, okay, for that glial cell to pick up the yucky stuff and let the good blood move through. But these chemicals can make their way through mainly because they're lipid soluble. For example, alcohol, because it is dissolved in lipids, i.e. plasma membrane of the cell. That's why it makes its way to the neuron, affects it, and gives you that feeling. Same thing for smoking. Anything. Okay? It's lipid soluble. Pollution matters that we have. Some are lipid soluble. Not everything. What'll happen, because the blood supply to the brain is so huge, those toxins make it to this barrier system before the liver and the kidneys have time to detoxify. So the barrier system, even though how hard it tries, things will make it through. We want to make sure that the system guards those capillaries, like the ones that we see at the ventricles, plexi, okay, there's more than one, and that the capillaries definitely are protected. The goal for the blood flow, which is huge, is making sure that it doesn't have those toxins in it. The flip side of this, because of the way that this structure is formed, and because those cells, do you guys remember like tight junctions where, you know, the cells are very closely together, and the tight junctions, for something to pass through, it would usually have to pass through the cell itself rather than between the cell. Even though we're hoping this is the case and that the barrier system will take care of it, the flip side is, all right, if I've got this structure where I've got all of these protections, okay, hopefully the harmful substances are not going to pass. But they do. Now, we do have materials we want those tissues to get. For example, we definitely want water to get to the brain. If you're not properly hydrated, how do you feel in your head?
Lightheaded.
You might feel lightheaded. You might feel fuzzy-brained. Okay? We definitely want to make sure. Now, here's the other thing to this. Glucose. What's the purpose of glucose in a cell?
To make energy.
To make our energy in that cellular respiration. Okay? In that cellular respiration that can occur in the body, well, it can use other molecules. It can use glucose. It can use lipids. Okay? It can use proteins if it needs to. The only way the brain can make energy is glucose. It cannot use any other molecule. So glucose is very important. People who are on these like low carb, no carb diets, ask them how their brain feels. Okay, pretty sure their brain's not feeling pretty good. Just saying. But now, lipid soluble substances, alcohol, the caffeine. We'll take the caffeine away. All right, gotta have a caffeine. Nicotine, anesthetics, stuff so you don't feel pain. It's a little bit permeable to sodium, potassium, chloride, urea, creatinine. You don't want it to be but so soluble because you want it to control those substances that come across. The flip side, because this barrier is so great, other materials that we may need to get across it are very difficult. Like people who may have a brain infection, they're very difficult to treat because medications actually have to be formulated to get across that barrier to actually treat the tissue. And that is extremely difficult. Medications that do go in and affect neurotransmitters like antidepressants, mood stabilizers, that sort of thing, they have actually been engineered to cross a lipid-soluble membrane. That's why they're so expensive, because they had to be engineered to cross this membrane. Yeah. So even though it's very good at protection, flip side is if something is really, really wrong, like a bacterial infection or something like that, getting an antibiotic across it is very difficult. Take a break. Be back at 10:30.